Hmm. Going to be a little change on the type of the shiur, but it's going to start slow but finish very big. We're going to start going into the psukim directly. Okay, I just took away the first pasuk of the Parasha. I'm not going to speak so much about it in this. I'm going to focus just on one pasuk at the end. Anyway, we see that Vayakumu, Korach comes. It's amazing that he doesn't learn from the Meraglim that Lashon Hara, Moitzi Diba, talking Rechilis doesn't work. And person who comes out with these words, always get punished. Needs an explanation. What did he think? How did he think that he would be successful in his mission where all the others have all failed? Big people, the Sanhedrin, 250 of the greatest people of Israel are coming out after Moshe and Aharon. Did these people think that they're all going to be the head? What they're trying to achieve? What's their goal? Korach, I can understand. He wants to take Moshe's place. But 250? Maybe there's a second place like for Aaron, but 250, obviously there's not. They had all the titles possible. I'm going fast on this one because that's not where I'm going. They got together, now they have strength, they have a vad, they have a, now they're not loners that feel kina and sina and covet. It's together so they can wash a little bit their ego and their conscience because they're not alone. That's what he says. Vayikohalu al Moshe Aharon, vayomru aleihem. They speak out of one mouth. Bab lachem, enough. Kichol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. All the eda is singular. Why do you start speaking plural? Kula kedosha. The whole eda is kadosh, but not kedoshim. Because if you talk to them as individuals, so we're gonna see here. There's a big game of remazim, of hints going on. They come out and they try to hide their game as pretending to be good people. They're only thinking about the Torah, they're thinking Leshem Shamayim, they're thinking for Klal Yisrael, Avas Yisrael, they're thinking all this good stuff. At the end of the day, their words will sell them out. We're going to know through their words what they had in mind. And every time they're going to try to hide, every time at that moment, the pasuk is going to show us a language that's going to hint us exactly where they were. Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is among us. Why do we need a better leader than HaKadosh Baruch Hu? We already have HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Umadua tisnasu al ke'al Hashem. Why do you want to rise and rule over the assembly of Hashem? Interesting reaction. This is where the shiur is going to go. Vayishma Moshe vayipoel al panav. Moshe heard and he fell on his face. First of all, what do you want to tell me Moshe heard? What do you think? Is Chaz v'shalom deaf? It says, Vayomru aleihem. They spoke to them right here. So Moshe was there. They came all together in assembly before Moshe and Aharon, and they said what they had to say. So why repeating Vayishma Moshe? Like, it's not a shmur that you heard someone spoke about you, chas v'shalom, or someone said, no, he was standing there. So there was no need to say Vayishma Moshe. Vayipoel al panav. And this reminds us what's it's written by the Meraglim when they started saying Lashon Hara. It says over there, I don't know if I wrote it, Vayipoel Moshe ve'Aharon al peneihem. Both fell on their face, lifnei kol kehal adas Yisrael. So where is Aaron here? He only says Moshe, so Aaron was still standing. He sees his brother, falling on the floor because they're really the argument, the fight was pretending to be on Moshe, on everything. It was on Hashem. So why do they stand? Why don't they fall on their face? And why did they fall on it? What is this meaning that we had by the Meraglim, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen fall on their face? Why do they have to fall on their face? What is this expression? What are they trying to achieve? Vaydaber al Korach, and then Moshe Rabbeinu changed tones. And he tells Korach and all these people, Boiker, morning, Baboiker, in the morning, V'yoida Hashem es Ashelor, V'yoidia, Hashem will let know who is. This whole pasuk, the Lashon is very, very difficult. V'yoida Hashem es Ashelor, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will let know who is his. Es Ashelor. Every time there's a S, there's a reboot. We have to understand what it comes to include. Ve'es HaKadosh. And it's not exactly, and he could have said, you told me one S. Ve'HaKadosh. Ve'hikri ve'lo. Ve'es asher chabo. And again, the ve'es. I mean, there's a whole game of hints in here that we're going to have to come up and explain this pasuk very, very clearly. So what's happening before us? We have Korach. Interestingly, who is Korach? Korach was the head of the Sanhedrin. Big time, the biggest dayan in Am Yisrael in the biggest generation. The Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer Gadol, tell us that even flies would not bother them. They were so holy. They were so big, that generation, that, the pest, anything would not come close to them, because behind everything that happens, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is behind it. You have a mosquito stinging you. Yes, the mosquito stung you. But who told him to sting you and right there? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's nothing that happens in this world without HaKadosh Baruch Hu being on top of everything. This is the Hashgacha practice. Who is everything? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So they were so holy that nothing bad. I mean, milk would turn bad if you don't put it in the fridge. Their milk would not turn bad. They would defy the laws of physics, the laws of nature. They were so hard. But when we read the psukim, we have a different taste in the mouth. We had the Meraglim last week. We spoke about them. I mean, to the point they did the work of Armilus, if you remember, which is the one that's going to fight and try to kill the Mashiach ben Yosef. And at the beginning of the Parasha, the Rashi says, what is it close to the Parashat Meraglim, to the Parasha of Miriam, even though it's not in order, because they should have learned that Lashon Hara never gets anyone nowhere. Yes, somewhere, Gehinnom. And below Gehinnom. In a place, people don't come out Islam from there. Korach, you've seen the punishment last week of the Meraglim. You're the biggest. You're the one on Rabbi Eliezer ben Orkenos, Rabbi Eliezer Gadol says on you that you were like Malache Ashares. You become lowly? You have an ego now? Besides that, let's scratch the surface. How did you become so rich, Korach? How did you become so rich? All the Bnei Israel found, got the bounty of Mitzrayim, but nobody's close as rich as you are. Korach was known for being extremely rich. What happened? How did you get so rich? When the famine was in Mitzrayim, and Yosef gathered all the money from all the surrounding countries, Pharaoh was scared to keep all the wealth in one place. So what he did, he divided in three, and he hid them in three different places. One of them, Korach found. Huge amount of money. He was so rich. What were you missing? Nothing. At least the Meraglim had a good intention. They didn't do it well, but they had a good intention. They went and they said, if we go to Eretz Yisrael, we're going to have to start working, and we're not going to be able to learn Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu. Much better we stay in the Midbar, we get the man, we have no worries about Parasha and everything, and we learn Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu. At least they started from a good point. But you Korach, you Sanhedrin, all together, what good can we say about you? Nothing. You were all rotten to the core. And how you come up, you're even more rotten than your intentions. Why? Because you don't even have the guts to show what you want. You disguised it into frumkeit. That's Torah. Now we have a little vav. Now we have a little this, and we are there together. Yes, that's the right thing that we have to do. Yeah, that's Korach ve'adasai. Yep, they said lashon hara. They were mitzi diba. They spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu, and they ended up being punished for eternity till after Mashiach. Then we'll stop the punishment of Korach. The Gemara brings down that an Arab shepherd showed the Amoraim, the place where you can hear, you see smoke in the midbar, and this is the smoke of the Gehinnom. And if you put your ear, you can hear Moshe emes v'soirasa emes. Korach says this non-stop in Gehinnom. Moshe emes v'soirasa emes. I don't get it. You really had to get to there. Did you mind? We humans. We have a brain. We're the sons of Hashem. He gave us the light and the chokhmah of the Torah. We understand that it's not a free world. We understand it's not our world. We are guests into Hashem's world. Now all of a sudden we want to steal. You want to make it our own. It's not our own world. So what are we trying to achieve? Especially us, the lowly ones. We're trying to keep our mouth shut. But you, Korach, honestly, on Moshe Rabbeinu, how is it possible? Moshe didn't respond at all. He just did one thing. He fell on his face. Vayipoil al panav. Nefilas Apיים. Exactly what we do after Shemone Esrei, that we go like this. And we say Tach. We're going to go, because I want to pass on a message, a very strong message tonight, a very strong side about what we achieve when we say Tachnun, when we do Nefilas Apיים, I mean the face down, and we have it over the arm to show that we're going to explain exactly what it means. There's a tremendous power into this tefillah to achieve huge things, huge, to particularly this tefillah. So I'm going to go a little bit higher level, and after that, we're going to take a dive. I promise you, it's going to flash. The Zohar HaKadosh explains that when we finish Shemona Esrei, we're not allowed to wait. Obviously, when there's Chazar Sashat, there's Chazar Sashat, but we're not allowed to make the same way when we start Shemona Esrei. We have to be right away when we say God Israel, Smicha Geula L'Tfilah. We have to say God Israel, and we cannot stop at all, not for Kedusha, not for Amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah, which we stop usually everywhere, even during Krishma. Here we cannot stop at all. We stop. After Shemona Esrei, we cannot stop at all. Not someone who speaks after Shemona Esrei, really he shouldn't do Tachanun. He shouldn't do Nefilas Apayim. Besides the fact that the Zohar says that someone who speaks after still had Shemona Esrei, after we did Shemona Esrei Belachash, before Chazar Sashat, because of him all the tefillas of the minion are not accepted. And that's going to be on his cheshbon. So, but here we're talking after Chazar Sashat, when the Shaliach Tzibur finished, and we have to do Nefilas Apayim, it's also to even wait. We have to do Nefilas Apayim right away. What is this Nefilas Apayim? What is it so important? I'm going to explain it according to the Zohar and the Ari HaKadosh. It's something that needs to be said and known so we understand how to act during the tefillas. And what are the kavanas, you know, why did Chazal put it there? A person, when he does Nefilas Apayim, he does Tachnun, we don't do it in the Beis Hamikdash. He used to be on the floor. Here we don't do it anymore on the floor. A person has to have his kavanah to be moser nefesh. In other words, I know what you're going to think, but I want to finish and explain it. He gives himself up. He gives his life, is ready to give his life away like on Kriya Shema. We moser nefesh. On the Nefilas Apayim, we moser nefesh. And at that time, why? Because at the end of Shemona Esrei, when we start Moedim and we go into the last bracha, Sim Shalom, now the zivuk start between Kudsha Berichu and the Shechina. And it keeps on till after Tachnun. Now, when a person is giving him, he gives his life, not his life here, like, well, I'm thinking I'm putting, you know, I'm becoming suicidal, I'm shooting myself in the head. Chaz v'shalom, the Ari HaKadosh says it has nothing to do with this. Is his source up there, he's willing to give it for the Shekhinah. What does it do? And the Zohar would explain it a bit deeper what it means. But what does it do? It's at that moment, because the person gave himself up for the Shekhinah, he traded himself, he enabled himself to go down below and bring up all neshamas that fell into the Sitra Achra. In other words, when a person is moser nefesh for the Shekhinah, what does it mean? It means that he endangers himself to go down below. He really thinks about the words he says. He goes down below and he brings neshamas that were swollen by the nachash. He takes them out of his belly. Chayil bala vayekienu. He makes the nachash spit out the neshamas and he brings them back to the Shekhinah. There's no bigger nachas ruach to the Shekhinah when we do this. What happens when a person indeed did it? Because we have to understand, after that we're going to go back to Moshe Rabbeinu to understand what he did, because by understanding what Nefilus Apayim is, we're going to understand what Moshe Rabbeinu achieved. Chazal tell us, I think I'm going to take you by an example. I think it'd be a lot easier to explain you because now it's going to illustrate exactly the words of the Zohar. Chazal tell us that there are in Yoma, that there are some chataim that the person can do tshuva and they wiped out. There's some chataim that a person needs tshuva plus he needs yisurim and then they wiped out. And there's some chataim like Chilul Hashem, as it says, "V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael v'oisi lachem Elokim." The main purpose of a Jew is to do Kiddush Hashem. That's the main purpose of a Jew. Now, Chaz v'shalom, a Jew did Chilul Hashem. Mishnah say it's gonna have. He needs tshuva, he needs yisurim, and he needs misa in order to alleviate, the oynesh of such a avera. However, if the person does Nefilus Apayim, as we mentioned before, meaning his real intention is, because remember, our neshama wants to go back to its source. Our neshama sees way beyond what the body sees and knows the emes. So the neshama is willing to go back and be a part of the Shekhinah. However, the body is the wall that prevents it from going back. But once a person takes his body and elevates it, he will never elevate it to the level of the neshama, but elevate it by the beginning by understanding that the person is giving himself up for the Shekhinah. It's considered like he died, and even Chilul Hashem is forgiven. Huge. When we read the Mishnah, we know that Chilul Hashem is only death. In other words, when a person wants to do tshuva, he can do it through Nefilus Apayim because it's a lot easier that way. And he achieves not only the tshuva, the lowly tshuva, but the upper level tshuva because he gave himself up. It's exactly as if he died. But that's not it. The Zohar says there's another segula in this. Since he has done the job of the Yesod, which we know that the Shekhinah has no light of its own, and the only light she gets is from the Yesod, and this person gave himself up, brought his neshama back up to the Shekhinah, and elevated other neshamas at the same time to the Shekhinah, so he acts like the Yesod, and therefore, since the Yesod has the name, is called Shalom, peace, Hashem gives him Shalom. In all the worlds, when he's called, he's referred as Shalom forever. Wow, huge. What is Shalom? Shalom is the oir of the Chachma and the Bina together. I'll show you that. If we take Shalom, equals 376. If I'm taking Yud Ke Vav Ke, Ke the two name equals 47. If I multiply this by 8, which is the midah of the bina, equal 376. In other words, let me give you another sorry. I didn't want to give you that. You know what we write? You see a lot of time on tombstones, tough noon, sorry. You see that. In other words, Tia Nafsho Tziror B'Tzror HaChaim. Tzror HaChaim, is the Malchus. Receive, Aideres Ve'emunah Lechai Oilamim. Chai, it's always the Oilamim. So this is the Malchus. This is the Yesod. And now we send Rosh Hashanah, Elohim, Chaim, Zachenu Lechaim, Melech Abed B'Chaim, no, not this one, the other one, whatever, Elohim Chaim is the Bina. How it works is like this. When we do Nefilus Apayim and we bring to the Malchus, the Yesod goes up, take Chaim, and brings it to the Malchus, so it becomes Tzror HaChaim. In other words, that's the normal thing the Yesod does every day when we daven Shemoneh Esrei, goes up to the Bina, picks up, in Chaim, life means everything included. It's the Be'er Elyon, the upper well, everything is included, Bracha, Chaim, everything, Parasha, Shefa, everything is in life, because someone who has a problem doesn't have a life. It's not life. So when the person is called Shalom, is getting this, is getting Elohim Chaim shines upon him with the light of the together of the Chokhmah. At that point, no chitzonim. We all know already when the Bina shines, there's no chitzon that can remain attached to that person. He deserved the Midas Hadin has to come. Sorry, even by the time of Achav, when they were all Reshaim, they were going to war. Nobody was dying. They were all Reshaim, but they were Shalom. When there's Shalom, there's no Midas Hadin. In other words, the person, that's huge. The person who does Nefilas Apayim properly and deserves to be called Shalom, at that point, has nothing to worry. Things are not working like the Goyim think in that world. Things are working in our world, which button we press in Shamayim in the spheres, and this is how we get the Shefa. Now we understand that through a very short tefillah, a very short time to concentrate, we can gain two things. First thing is the biggest kaparas avonos that there is. There's nothing that can beat this Nefilas Apayim. Nothing. When it's written on Nefilas Apayim, it's written about no other tefillah. Number two, we get to be called Shalom, and in Shalom, only all brachas are coming. There's no darkness, there's no gray area, everything is plain sunshine. Plain sunshine. These are the two. Explain the Moshe David Valley. It's the Tamid Chaver of the Ramchal HaKodesh, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Livracha, that when Korach and Adosoi asked Moshe Rabbeinu, "Madua tisnasu al kihal Hashem? Kichala Eida kulam kedoshim, the whole nation, the all saints. So why do you need to be a manhig? Why do we need to have a Kohen Gadol? Wasn't it there? Someone else in your age that it has to be the two brothers that got it? Really? The odds are very, very hard to swallow," they told them. You know, there were other people of your age in Am Yisrael, and surely valuable people that could have been, you know, taking this role. So how come? What's the odd? So they built the whole entire lie. They tried to rationalize it to massage the conscience. A person has his neshama inside him that tells him the else. The way to shut up the neshama is to bring a rational that will defeat it, not defeat it, so I can't hear it anymore. Despite the neshama screaming, the person starts believing in his heart, because now he's in emotions. He's in the emotional world. He's not in the intellectual world. So he's trying to shut it up by saying, you know, I have a rational. It's very interesting, the odds that we have millions of Jews, and it had to be that two brothers took over everything. The Nasi and the Kohen Gadol. Despite Bnei Yisrael having such valuable people. And that's the foundation. So they take it as a truth. Now, they don't know that. But they take it as a truth to build up a rebellion against Moshe Rabbeinu. Says Moshe David Valley, the response of Moshe Rabbeinu was right away to fall on the ground, face down, in order to prevent the Midas Hadin to come in Bnei Israel. Now, we understood beforehand that the Nefilus Apayim has two powers. Power to control the din through Shalom, and the power to be Maivir Avoinos, to erase sins. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu used that technique to show that he is not a party to this machloikes. And the proof is that he's trying to prevent the Midas Adin to come and punish Korach and Adosai. In Choshen Mishpat, in Hilchos Eina, Siman Resh Chav Ches, Saif Aleph, first Saif. The Mechaber says that when someone abuses another Jew, I mean, when you curse someone, there's so many lavim in there, it's unbelievable, unbelievable. And right away, the punishment comes. The Shema explains, because it says, Ki Hashem nitzav al choimas anach. Hashem stands, it says in the Pasuk, on the walls of Anach, and Anach comes from the word oina, someone who abuses, someone who hurts someone else with words. If he complains to Hashem, right away Hashem listens to him. Hashem, the Shema says, stands ready for the victims of abuses by words. Right away, their punishment is coming. Therefore, we understand a bit better Moshe Rabbeinu, his response. He knew there was no time to wait, because Midas Adin will come exactly like in Parashas Chukas, when they're going to talk about Hashem, the Bnei Israel, about Hashem and Moshe, right away, you use your mouth, right away, the Nechashim, the poisonous snakes came into Bnei Israel. So they had to stop. And Moshe Rabbeinu stopped it that way. That's what comes out. So Moshe Rabbeinu achieved two things with it. Number one, he helped his enemies. And why did he help his enemies? For sure, Moshe Rabbeinu never had sin in his heart, nothing, but to show that when the Eish of the Machlokes will come and burn them, he's not a party. Even though he is right, but Machlokes burns the right and the wrong. Rashi explains what Moshe fell on his face. Why? Mipnei Machlokes, because of the Machlokes, because they had already three huge sins in their hands. They had the ego, they had the complaint about the meat, and they had the meraglim. Now this becomes the fourth. Therefore, Rashi explained that he thought he could not save them anymore, and he fell down to the earth. Because he thought maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not accept anymore my interference, to interfere for the Bnei Israel. In other words, Rashi refers to a pasuk in Amos. Koyama Hashem. Koy is always the Shechina, remember? Al Shloisha Pishe Yisrael. On 3 times, when someone sins 3 times, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will forgo. But 4 times. In other words, Rashi seems to explain that this is the 4th time, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know. But obviously, in the words of Rashi, he is a big soy. Because Rashi should have wrote, if that's your intention, bring me the pasuk. I know right away what we're talking about here. Rabbeinu Bachaye learns differently. So far I explained that Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to protect them. Rabbeinu Bachaye said no. Just the opposite. He was using the other midah of Nefilot Sapam. He was using midah sadin. When he heard, there's 2 different dinim. In when someone lo yisoinu ish es amisoy, we're not allowed to take advantage. That's not the best translation I can have in my mind at this time. Take advantage, one, with words, his friend. That's okay when it's you. You're the Baal Dava. But once you hear the bizayin of a Talmid Chacham, especially Aharon HaKohen, which is Oyehev Shalom Veroidev Shalom, what do you want from him, Korach? Am Yisrael loved Aharon HaKohen. They wanted to lapidate Moshe and Elazar HaKohen when they came down from the mountain without Aaron. They thought, out of jealousy, they killed him. Until HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed the bed. The Me'ara opened up and they showed the bed of Aharon HaKohen. The love of the Bnei Israel for Aaron was boundless. Moshe Rabbeinu heard the bizayin of the Kohen Gadol, the bizayin of a Talmid Chacham, the bizayin of the Torah. On this, he couldn't stand still. You can forgive and forgo, if it's about you and everything, you get over it, fine. But once it's about the Torah, when it's about the Talmid Chacham, When it's about the Kohen Gadol, you're not allowed. And merachmin badin. In the din, there's no rachmin. All is intellectual. And at that point, Moshe Rabbeinu used the nefilot apיים to eradicate them. And we know that it worked. We see here another soil from nefilot apיים. Nefilot apיים has a din of a tze'aka to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have direct contact to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you can share your pain, you can share your demands, you can share, and so forth. I mean, you don't have to demand anything because you're getting shalom. So, but we see here, nefilot apיים can bring the din, huge din. Let me tell you a story, which is brought down in Bava Metzia Nun Teis Amud Beis. You all know Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos. We spoke about him. I said his story once. I'm just going to briefly tell you. Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos was the son of Horkenos, was a rich man up in the north, had fields, had a lot of flocks. And his children were helping him in the fields and shepherding. But Rabbi Eliezer didn't have any attraction to this type of life. He always wanted to learn. It was going to be his father. His father is saying, "You bum, you're nothing. Learn to earn your a living and everything." Till the day Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos took off, just disappeared, left everything as it is, and he ran to the place of Rabbi Yochanan, and he asked him to learn Torah. Rabbi Yochanan allowed him to come. Yochanan Talmid of Hillel Azaken, and so he learned. And now there was a very bad smell in the Beis Midrash, and they looked after that smell, and they saw that Yochanan saw that the face of Rabbi Eliezer was not looking good. It was like a very dark, and a terrible smell was coming from his mouth. So he asked him why, and he told him because he has no food. All he wants is to learn Torah, so he's eating dirt. Rabbi Yochanan told him, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who knew the language of the trees, of the everything. The same way that the smell came out of your mouth, you were Torah, and he would be a Gadol B'Yisrael. That's why the Eliezer ben Horkenos. So when he was fighting in halacha with the other chachamim, so he started, if the halacha is like me, the carob tree that's here should move 100 amos, and the tree moved 100 amos. Chachamim say we don't bring a proof from the carob. Then he said, the second proof he brought there in Bava Metzia, I don't know if it was the Amas Hamayim. He says, He said from this little river, the water started going upward. Instead of going downward, they started going up. They said, we don't bring a raya from a river. Then he said, I'll bring a raya from the walls of the Beis Midrash. They should crumble. And they started crumbling into the Yeshua stood up and said, what do you have here? When Chachamim discuss halacha, it's none of your business. So they remain tilted for the kavod of Yeshua and for the kavod of Eliezer. Then a Basker came and he said, Lo yiba shamayim he, they didn't listen. It's very sharp, Rabbi Eliezer. At that point, they saw he was not giving in because he was, only him was holding halacha like this, and all the other chachamim were holding differently. They decided to put him in cherem. So they said, who's going to go tell him? So Rabbi Akiva said, his Talmud says, me. because if someone else goes and tell him, the world will be destroyed. What he means, you're going to understand in a second. So Rabbi Akiva dressed in black, and he went to see him, and he was standing up in Arba Amos, and he says, so Rabbi Eliezer told him, what's different today? Manishtana. Today from other days. He says, I think your friend had taken a step away, have backed up from you. He understood they put him in Cherem. He tore his cloth, he took off his shoes. 3 tears came down. First tear, 1/3 of all the olives in the world, 1/3 of all the wheat, 1/3 of all the shiur, whatever it is, got damaged in the world. Second tier came down, Rabbi Gamliel, which was the Nasi, and he instigated that. Interestingly, was his brother-in-law. And because Rabbi Eliezer was married with the sister of Rabbi Gamliel. The tsunami came up, a huge wave came up to swallow the ship. Rabbi Gamliel right away saw that, and he knew it was because of Rabbi Eliezer. He knew, he cried. And he davened to Hashem, he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know my heart. There was nothing personal. It was all for the Kavod HaTorah, because he said that we have to go after the majority, and we don't want to bring Machlokes B'Yisrael. The wave went down calmly. But from that day on, the wife of Rabbi Eliezer, which was the sister of Rabbi Gamliel, would never let him do Nefilus Apayim. She knew that if he does Nefilus Apayim, her brother is dead. One time, she made a mistake. So there's 2 versions in the Gemara. She made a mistake on the Rosh Chodesh. She thought he was Rosh Chodesh, and he was not Rosh Chodesh. So she didn't go what he was davening, prevent him from doing Nefilus Apayim. And therefore, he did it. At that point, she clapped her hands and says, my brother is dead. So Rabbi Akiva told her, how do you know? He says, because this is what I received from my father's home. That all the gates are closed besides one gate. The gates of Oinah. Hurtful. Words like this. These, right away, the punishment comes. A few minutes later, they heard a shofar, the Nasi was niftar, Rabbi Gamliel was niftar. We see the power of Nefilus Apayim and the din. This shows us 2 things, because all the Mefarshim are asking the Ritva, the Ra, they're all asking the question, well, was she standing the whole day next to Rabbi Eliezer, so he shouldn't do Nefilus Apayim? From there you see the halacha, and even the Mechaber in Simin Kuf Lamed Aleph in Orach Chaim, Saif Aleph, says that Nefilus Apayim has to be directly after Shemona Esrei. So she would bother him and make him talk between Shemona Esrei and after Shemona Esrei and Nefilus Apayim, so he could not say Tachnun. The halacha, someone who delayed after Shemona Esrei and he didn't say Tachnun, he can't say it anymore. He should not say it anymore. The halacha. And that's what she was doing until. So now we see that what she did was bother him after Shemona Esrei. Tiny little story. After that, we're going to take a big, deep dive. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, that what it is Vayishma Moshe. We asked the question, Moshe Vaydaber Alehem. They were talking to each other. What do you have to tell me? Extra words in the Torah. Vayishma Moshe. Moshe understood what they were about. They came up with story that Moshe Rabbeinu, man, it's not to even say this like this, had a relationship with their wives. They were choshed Moshe Rabbeinu. Unbelievable this man. Moshe Rabbeinu, they saw him going on house. Moshe Rabbeinu, he went 40 days to Shaman. Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the luchas, no one else. Moshe Rabbeinu had the horns of light. They couldn't even look at his face. This one, Moshe Rabbeinu, you're gonna be afraid. That's how you're gonna be afraid. Very hard question, but we're gonna see. We're gonna bring a simile answer because I'm not satisfied with the answer. Midrash says, from Tiferes Israel in the Mishnah also, this Midrash. The Midrash says one time there was a king who knew Chachmas HaParzuf. He knew how to read the face. And he heard so much about the Nisim that Moshe Rabbeinu did, he sent his best painter. He says, paint me the face of Moshe Rabbeinu and bring it back. So when he arrived, the painter, and he saw Moshe Rabbeinu, he started painting. When he came back to the king, and the king looked at the face, he saw a thief. A noyef, meaning a rush, someone has tivus nonstop. Worst possible character. He called these soldiers, killed them. So the painter said, what did I do wrong? He says, you didn't bring me Moshe Rabbeinu. You brought me a thief, a killer, everything bad you want, but that cannot be Moshe. He said, I swear it's Moshe Rabbeinu, I swear. You know, he put a dab in the head of the king. The king said to the second painter of the palace, go and paint me Moshe Rabbeinu. When he came before Moshe Rabbeinu, he was trembling. He says, because he was understanding also, he says, the face is the face that the first painter painted. He says, if I paint this to the king, he's going to throw me, he's going to put me to death like the other one. He says, Moshe Rabbeinu, please, my life is in danger, explain me something. He says, all the simonim you have on the face are not good simonim, though you're on Moshe Rabbeinu. How is it possible? Moshe Rabbeinu smiled, understood when people come with their cheretz and a question like this, they get an answer. Moshe Rabbeinu told them, the good person is not the person that was born with all good qualities and does good. That's his nature. He doesn't have any merit. The good person is the person that overcomes his nature. That's the person that really builds up merits. He said, what you saw is what I was. Yes, I was born with the worst possible qualities, but I overcame each one of them, and I went to the opposite side in the goodness. That's why I am Moshe Rabbeinu. Why I'm not satisfied with this midrash? I'll tell you very simply. Chaz v'shalom, the judge, it's my lack of understanding. It's not a lack in the midrash at all, but it's my lack of understanding. It's because we know, and it's written down in the Zohar Parasha by Yisro, that when a person changes his character, the letters on his forehead are changing too. So maybe these people didn't know the real Chachmas HaParzuf. They didn't know as much as we can read, and it's written in the Zohar, the different interpretations of the forms of the eyes, the form of the nose, the form of the forehead, the size, everything is written down. However, the deep down to know what a person's worth is with the letters, on the 3 letters on the forehead. Maybe these people didn't know that. And they were just looking at the features, and indeed the features don't change, but the letters do change. And the oyer also does change. And someone who knows how to read in oyer, he knows right away to see if he sees these letters shining and the different colors. We're going to learn soon the different colors. And, you know, given the shining, the color of the light, we know right away where the person is standing. Okay, I'm saying impossibility because I didn't find any. Now let's go. Time to dive in a little bit. Midrash Tanchumes says, explain, now that we have an understanding what is Nefilus Apayim, we are going to go all the way in. Midrash Tanchumes says, Moshe Rabbeinu fell on his face and told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I didn't ask to become the king. My brother didn't ask for becoming the Kohen Gadol. Now they're up to kill us, save us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Boiker v'yoda Hashem es hashaloi. Boiker, not ba boiker, boiker. The same way that all the magicians of Mitzrayim, if with all their magic, even if they tried to change morning into evening or morning into afternoon, they cannot change the galgal, the wheel of time. No magic can touch it. The same way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make it known that it's him that chose you and chose your brother. No one else, he didn't come from you. I will make it known to all the Bnei Israel. In the same way, I differentiated between the light, which is the day, to the night, which is the darkness. I differentiated myself, Aaron HaKohen, from all the Bnei Israel, and I chose him to become the Kohen Gadol. The Midrash, in other words, is telling us, adding a little bit more input into Nefilus Apayim. Moshe Rabbeinu used Nefilus Apayim to daven to Hashem. So far, we had seen 3 things. We had seen that Nefilus Apayim is mechaper, the biggest eraser, the biggest tshuva, the biggest everything. Even Chilul Hashem. We saw that Nefilus Apayim brings shalom, we can protect, all the brachas are there. We saw that Nefilus Apayim can bring the din and death in shoes. Now we see a 4th thing. Nefilus Apayim is the biggest tefillah right away HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers. Let's go into the pasuk because we will understand something. I mean, I was blown away myself when I saw that. The pasuk in Koheles says, "Mashe haya hu sheyihyeh." What was is what's gonna be. Moshe Rabbeinu was the one taking us out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu, that's what Shlomo HaMelech says, and Moshe Rabbeinu will take us out of these gulls. So Moshe Rabbeinu will reveal himself to the Bnei Israel before Mashiach comes. And he says, the Ari HaKodesh says, look at the first letters. Mashe Haya, Mem Shin Hey, Moshe. The Baal HaTurim says, what the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, that they suspected him of going with the other woman, he takes it out from this. Vayishma Moshe equals 770. Lelamed ki chashduhu be'isha. They suspected him. I say, I want to learn a little bit differently. Moshe was a Beriach Atichon. The same way the Mishkan was one, because there was a middle pole going through. By miracle, he was turning and getting through, holding the four walls of the Mishkan as one. It's called the Beriach Atichon, the middle pole. Mavriach min hakotze lakotze. Moshe Rabbeinu is also holding the ends, the extremities of the world together. It's Moshe Rabbeinu still, equals 770. Moshe Mashiach ben David. Last week we spoke about Moshe Mashiach ben Yosef, and I told you the Zohar says Moshe Rabbeinu will come. On his right side will be Mashiach ben David. On his left side will be Mashiach ben Yosef. And you know how much Moshe is connected to Mashiach ben Yosef. We're not going back on last week's shiur. Now to go after Rabbeinu Bachye, Vayipol al panav. And we're going to see everything we have learned so far. He fell on his face equals 372. Exactly like Akra. They wanted to sting from the side. They didn't want to show their face. They didn't want to show their real argument. They didn't want to show that they have kina, that they have sinna, and they have the covet. So the same way, the Midas Adin, which is the Klipas Akrav, is going to come. And how did he bring it? It equals the Yud K Vav K of the Chochmah, Yud K, Hey Yud Vav Hey, and Elohim, which is in the Bina, Aleph Lamed Hey Yud Men. He brought the Oynesh from very high. But at the same time, since he had Shalom, he wanted to protect the other Bnei Israel, equals 12 times Kel for all the 12 Shvatim, that he brought a shame of Chesed in order to protect them from the Midas Adin, because Midas Adin, when the Mashchis come, it does not differentiate between a tzaddik or a rasha. And Moshe Rabbeinu used at the same time the power of Midas Adin of Nefilot Apayim, and at the same time the powers of the Shalom of Nefilot Apayim. One to protect the Bnei Israel, the other to punish Korach and Adasai. Because once someone doesn't want to understand and doesn't want to stop the fire of Machlokes, then he needs to be eradicated. Because he's destroying Am Yisrael. He needs to go. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu showed us. Now we're going to see that Vayishma Moshe, we're going to see that there's no really Machlokes, that he understood what they meant. Because Vayishma, we know Shmiya, the Oizen is the Bina. He understood. What did he come with to complain about? The example he brought is tzitzis. Tzitzis equals 600. Equals kinetai v'kaved. They didn't want to come with the midah of sheker, which is the same value. No, they say, look, the tzitzis is kaddish, we have good intentions. Moshe Rabbeinu read right through. They were motivated by kina, taiva, kaved. And he gave himself up by acting acting like this. So what is now by Daber al Korach? Now he's going to speak to him harshly. By Daber is harshly. I am telling him he's going to speak to him, but also by remazing. I uncovered your little secret. That's why he talked in a harsh way. By Daber al Korach equals 561. Akina vesina v'kav. He told him, I know what it is. Please come back, make tshuva. You can still be saved. You're going to be a big person. He told him, look, you have 2 ways before you. By the morning, you better make a choice. Boiker veyoida Hashem, it's missing a vav. You're going to understand why. Because we need it to be 418. Slicha and kapara you can reach. Let Aaron do the Ketores in the morning, and you will get slicha and kapara. You want to do it yourself, you're going to get chatas for it. Moshe Rabbeinu told him, you have these two ways in front of you now. Choose the path of slicha and kapara, but Korach chose the path of chatas. And the greatness that HaKadosh shows us, the greatness of Korach, is when it says Tzadi Katamar Yifrach, is the HaKadosh says, look at the end letters. Kuf Resh Ches, Korach. To tell us that Korach at the end of time, after Mashiach will be Kohen Gadol. He was just pushing the time. Nobody can push the clock. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has everything set up for everyone. And if you doichek the time, you're pressing the time, at that point, the person is pressing himself out. Ve'yoida Hashem, Hashem will know as Asher Lo, what's his. It's a huge side here, huge, way huge. And I was doubting myself, but if you allow me, I think 4 minutes. If you allow me 4 minutes, I will give you the side here, and it's a huge side, huge. So Esasha Loi equals 938, equals 7 times Dekel. Dekel being a palm tree. Says Daria Kodesh, Dekel is Aramaic, Tamar is Hebrew. Now, says Daria Kodesh, if you take Kuf, the first letter, says Moshe again, to Korach, you have 2 ways in front. You have a path. Tzadik Tamar Yifrach, Korach. And Moshe tells him, Koimasech Damsa Lesamar. And all the Midas will agree to this. So it will happen to you. Your height resembles the height of a palm tree. And Dekel, Dalet Kuf Lamed, is hinted in here. So you will be great. You will reach Gdula. You will reach, what you're searching, but not now. Not now. The Megale Amukas adds something. If you take Dekel, something huge, what he says. It's not related to our Parasha, but he's talking about a klipa, and we're gonna be able to connect it. Hapalit. Vayavoy hapalit vayomer lesara. Lit. Mar says he was Oig Melech Habash. Oig Melech Habashan came to tell Sarah that Yitzchak was killed on the Mizbeach by his father Abraham. Simple, the pshat, but we learned differently, was that she fell and she died. Says the Megale Amukas. We all know Sichon was a klipa because he was born from adultery, from one of the Bnei Elohim with the wife of Cham. Sichon equals 134, equals Kedar, exactly in the right order of the pasuk. This is one of the names, says the Megala Amukis of the Merkava of the Sitra. Moshe Rabbeinu, according to this, tells Korach, you have a choice. I could tell you in the Parasha here. We go back to the Parasha. Vaydaber Korach ve'al kol hadosim boiker ve'yoda Hashem. We saw that already, that boiker ve'yoda Hashem was a kina. No, Vaydaber Korach was that. It was 418. It was slicha kapara, or it was the chatas. And it keeps on. Es asher loy. What do you mean es asher? Every time I see es me, I have all the alarm bells going on. What are you adding me here? Es asher loy. So es asher loy, it's either 7 times dekel or 7 times kedar. Is it fully part of the Merkava of Tuma? Moshe Rabbeinu showed him he could be a great person in Bnei Israel if he does true. However, he will be part of the Merkava of Tuma, the shame Tomei, if he keeps on with and he tells him again another S. The Es HaKadosh. What are you trying to add me? The Es HaKadosh equals 822. Sorry, hold on. It's twice Shechina Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yes. It's twice Shechina Yud Kei Vav Kei. It tells him you can be back connected to the Yichud because it's Nefilot Apayim. After Nefilot Apayim is Shmoneh Esrei. It's after Shmoneh Esrei where we did the Yichud of Kucha Berichu and Shechinte. You can be part of it. And if you're not part of it, Ves HaKadosh 822, what do we tell the Metzora? When the Metzora sees someone, what does he have to scream? Tamei, Tamei Yikra. He has to call Tamei, Tamei. Please watch out, Bnei Israel. Don't get close to me because I am Tamei down here and Tamei up there. Tamei, Tamei Yikra is 820. You can become a Kaddish. You can become a great person, but if you don't change your ways, you will become Tamei, Tamei, all the way down there. I mean, Tamei in this world and Tamei in the next world, you'll have no redemption until after Mashiach. Because Tamei equals 50. Whoever reaches the 50 share Tuma, he is in the hand of the Lily, the Malach HaMaves, and he's part of her now. And there's no way he's gonna get out. And now we will understand why the pasuk at the beginning it says Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar, his father, his ben Kehas, ben Levi, his grandfather, great grandfather, but it doesn't go to Yaakov. Why? Because the Hikri Ve'ila. It tells him, sorry, Ve'esav She'echar boy. This I'm gonna have to write it, so you're not gonna. He says, I know you're coming from the middle of Sheker, you're not relating to Yaakov Avinu. Because you have what is it this one? Yaakov said when he saw Esav, he says, Becharbi or Bekashti. And Rashi says the lashon of Rashi there was the Chachmasi Usfilas. Chachmasi Utfilasi is Torah Tefillah. In Yaakov, it says, Titan emes leYaakov. So if you're not emes, but Moshe Rabbeinu was emes. So he is connected. But Korach is telling him, you cannot connect. You cannot have anything. And the proof that Moshe Rabbeinu is emes, look at what the hint the apostle gives us. Vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav. It's something Korach will say forever. This equals to 1143 equal Moshe emes Vesay Rasoi emes. Exactly. This whole Parasha, with all these difficulties in the languages, is only hints about what's going on between Moshe Rabbeinu and Korach. But at the end of the day, what the huge thing we're learning from here is the power of the Tach, the power of Nefilus Apayim. Let it be that now when we're going to daven and we understand the tools and the weapons HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, no weapon in the world can compare to this. And Moshe Rabbeinu achieved that earth should open, only them and the belonging out of all the people, and them and the belonging should go into earth, into the Gehinnom, the 8th level of the Gehinnom, and all his wealth, whatever his flocks were, everybody was dragged into the hole, and all this with the koyach of Nefilus Apayim. Vayipol Moshe al panav, he connected to the emes. Moshe emes v'soy rasa emes. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu, amen v'amen.